I have a question on this, Justin. So,
Yeah.
I know you can neither confirm nor deny the current situations, but it sounds like perhaps there have been times where you're seeing multiple women. So what is the pitch to a girl that you won't be loyal? Is it overtly communicated? Is it just an understanding? Like what's the sell? What's the pitch to a girl? Basically, because you say you're open with it with the girls. How do you pitch it?
I mean, first of all, generally they kind of know up front. You know, if they slide in my Instagram DMs and they see my life, it's like, they're like, are you really that surprised? Mm-hmm. And so there's questions you could ask to see if a girl's bi or not. I might joke around, ask her blondes or brunettes early on.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And see what she says, just to check see if she's bi or not. And look, I don't coach game. I'm just like super honest. And then another thing is, by the time a girl really sees me online, she's already listened to my content. Mm-hmm. And listen to things I've said. So they would know the truth, you know?
Right.
I'm probably going to ratchet back, you know, some of these dating type shows just because I feel like I've had the same conversation a million times and just do more of the business stuff. But by and largely, my content is a filter, you know? And I get DMs from women all day, you know, just basically saying, hey, I at least appreciate you telling the truth. I got cheated on, got lied to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's not much screening I really have to do.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, but have there been any instances, I assume perhaps maybe some of the women you approached or they weren't familiar with you? I mean, because you say you're open with the girls and, you know, and, you know, let's say to all the G's out there that they're trying to level up and they kind of want to, you know, they want to have
well, you know what I would say
women.
first? I would say first that having multiple women is not the goal. I don't think that's a good goal for a young man. You know, I think working on yourself completely and absorbing and having a lot of women come to you is a goal. For example, like let's say that you're married and you have a loving relationship. I don't think there's anything in the world wrong with that at all.
But I want that for you and every
Well,
person.
too bad. That's not what I want. So that's my business, not yours. But what I'm saying is that if I'm in a situation with a woman and she thinks she wants to leave because I have, let's say, more girls. Okay, cool. You can leave me for a man that you love less that will cheat on you anyway if he could. I'm not doing anything any other man would not do if he could. Maybe her husband could and doesn't, but you know, for the sake of the conversation, I think most men, if they could, would have the option of having multiple women. Now, it has also been my experience that I can only love one person at a time. And so that said, there's, you know, I think there's only one spot in my heart as far as, you know, long-term commitment. And when I look at long-term commitment, I look at protecting, providing, being there fully emotionally, a person's best friend. I mean, ride or die, like really there with them, even if they're upset or jealous.
Can I ask you one more question?
Fire away, honey.
Okay. If you have only one place in your heart for one woman, or you want to have one woman in your heart, I think you said, why don't you just commit to one and choose to be faithful to her?
I'm just not wired that way. I spent my whole 20s trying to fix myself. Thought
You're
something was
a man
wrong
of
with me.
self-control. You work out, you do business.
Yeah.
You can possess your own power and direct it the way you want to direct it.
It's just not how I am. It's not how I am.
You think that might be a limited mindset?
I think it's none of your business, but I don't want you to think I'm triggered by you. I'm not.
Okay.
I saw somebody say that, and I think that's interesting. I think you're annoying, but I'm not triggered. You know what I'm saying? No, you are. You're annoying in like this goody two-shoes type way, and that's fine. I'm going to live my life on my terms, unapologetically, like truly. So you can ask me this 85 different ways. At the end of the day, I'm going to walk out of here the same man. And any woman in my life, that you either accept that or leave, and that's not a threat. That's, hey, this is what I offer. If that works for you, okay. If it doesn't, you can go. There's plenty of people that are in hot wife relationships. They're swingers. They're gay. None of those people get questioned the way I do.
Yeah.
None of those people get questioned the way I do. I'm one of very few men that can actually come out and on the top of my head, there's probably a handful. The Tate brothers being some of them, and then a couple of my other friends that can actually openly say, "This is how I'm going to live. I'm going to live on my terms." And guess what? Women don't leave us for it. I cannot think of a woman that has left me over telling them that.
Yeah, some women like that.
Yeah, some of them are like, oh my God, that's so sexy. So no woman wants a man that other women don't want. And by and largely, I think that women are attracted to it, that little bit of dread in them, that little bit of competition. And I don't mind providing that atmosphere for them at all. And I'm not sorry.
I kind of have a question.
Shoot.
So,
I hate that I talk about this so much, actually.
No. I genuinely love
it's
how
not that
outspoken you are
because
about it.
It's just like I'm not trying to promote it.
No, not
You
at
know
all.
what I'm saying? Like if a young man thinks he wants to get married, I don't want him to see me and think, oh, I need to start I need to sit my wife down and tell her. If he doesn't actually feel that way, but I think you'd be shocked at how many men hate themselves over the fact that they want multiple women, and they're scared that everybody's going to reject them and they're going to get kicked out of their family group, their church group, their friends.
And same with women.
Same with women, yeah, exactly.
Right,
I was just
sure.
about to say that, you know, it's the same sense of you know, especially even from the opposite perspective, from mine, as even somebody that's only 21 years old, I've experienced, you know, like a man sometimes wants to be very protective. Is a good way of putting it.
That's the
over
beautiful
their
part
woman.
about
What's
love.
mine is mine, and I understand that fully. And there are certain times where it's like it's hard not to be like the jealous type, and I've been in polyamorous relationships before.
Well, let me be really clear. I'm not polyamorous. Now,
yeah, that's why I was actually that was my question.
If there are some girls I'm seeing and I don't care as much, they like I'm not watching them like that. I'm like whatever. But anyone that's close to that I'm trying to provide for or possibly have children with, no, it's shut down. Now you can help me bring women home all day long. I'm not trying to leave you out. But at the same time, like you're not talking to any other men, and those women are happy with that.
So it is like what I described, kind of like where it's what's mine is mine, but what's yours is also mine.
Well, I wouldn't say what's yours is also mine. I never thought of it that way, but so you're gonna be protective over your girl. Like if you really care about her, you really care about her. Like especially like if you're with a guy and let's say he takes you to a swingers club, he probably didn't love you. He's just trying to get a trade off, right?
I don't know about that because it can't go both ways.
It may be so for you. I'm just saying any woman I truly care about, like I'm not playing that shit at all.
Yeah. Well, in that sense though, like do you think it's fair?
No, I don't think life is fair at all. And this particular subject is super unfair. I want to be very, very clear about that. Number one, I am not promoting it. I'm not promoting it in any way.
Not promoting what?
I'm not promoting that men have a bunch of women.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm saying that for me in my life, the biggest struggle in my adult life was feeling out of place because of how I felt about it. It was almost like, hey, I'm coming out the closet. I'm super straight, you know? And then number two, I'm not promoting what I'm saying right now is fair at all. I don't think it's fair at all. I don't think the world's fair.
Yeah. But I might be misunderstanding you, but it sounds like you're saying that some men, maybe yourself, don't have the ability to be monogamous. And so you're saying
choosing to frame it that way. I'm telling you, I'm going to live my life how I want to.
How would you frame it?
I would frame it as it was more me holding my breath and trying to be something I wasn't.
What
I was holding my breath.
I
You
get
understand
to that?
Look, I'm from the Deep South. You Baptist, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I get
you know
that, 'cause
that
I was
feeling
in
of church.
Yes. You're trying to be who they told you to be.
And you're praying, God, please let me not leave this girl I love because I want to sleep with the volleyball team type stuff. Like the biggest heartbreak in my life was in college. I broke up with Miss Louisiana while she's getting ready for Miss America. Not because we didn't get along, not because the sex wasn't good, not because we weren't like best friends. It's because I wanted to sleep with other girls at school.
Yes,
and I thought I was doing the right thing, and I ended up breaking my own heart. You know what I'm saying? And so through my 20s, I thought something was wrong with me, and I was trying to fix it. And in time, I realized that there was never anything wrong with me at all. I just had to live my truth and find people, even if it's just a small group of billions of people in the world, maybe it's 3 to 5 people that love me for who I am.
I agree with you.
And then I'm at peace because then I don't have to be wrong. They don't have to answer to my conscience. I can just be myself. And for that reason, I'm able to put walls down like, oh, she might catch me. And just tell the truth. And so instead of loving her 80, 90%, I can love her 120% and take care of her every way. Yeah. So you can give your whole heart to somebody when you're not living in lies.
100%. And that was interesting for me because I was in a monogamous marriage because I was told that was the only way, the right way. And then I learned over the years that I'm actually non-monogamous. And that was even interesting when I started dating after I got divorced, being upfront about it because I know, and I've said the same thing where people are mad at me because I do in public what they do in secret. Instead of hiding, I tell people like, hey, I'm non-monogamous. I can't be only with one person for the rest of my life, and if you're not cool with that, then we're not meant to date. Right. But if you are cool with that,
or you're meant to be in a different position, like you, for example, over there with your titties out and everything, talking about you fucking, like in my mind, when I hear a girl say that, I'm like, okay, well, fucking, I take a ride on that, Ferris wheel. But you get put out of the wife bucket for a guy like me, but at the same time, like, I'm not mad at you for saying it because a bunch of people were calling you haram and stuff like that, and technically maybe it's true, but it just, for me, when I see a girl like that, it just puts her in a different bucket.
Yeah, and I'm
You know?
happy to be in whatever bucket, because it's like I know what I want, and if I'm not wife material for you, I don't want to be your wife. So it's like,
Yeah.
to me, it's alignment, and that's not an issue. And you can call me whatever.
No,
But it's
I'm not here to judge you about it.
You're at peace. I'm at peace, and I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I learned walking away from the church and religion, is how unique every person is, and it's everyone has their own set of morals and values that works for them. And I used to think there was right or wrong, but now it's like, if you're at peace with you, that's the most important thing. If I'm at peace with me, that's the most important
Right.
thing.
And I've never been in more peace in my life.
Yeah.
So
And just
I
treating
love
others
it.
with kindness, like
Yes.
despite your disagreements. That's
Yes.
why we're in America in the first place. Like, you're allowed to disagree with other people and their opinion.
America.
So I want
America,
to pipe
America.
up here. I find your perspective interesting, Justin. I used to want the same thing. When I was about 18 years old, I realized, I was like, man, I want to have like 30 kids with like 10 different women. Like, I wanted to ball out, have as many kids as humanly possible. And this was when I was not walking with the Lord at this point in time. And I maintained that dream till about my mid-20s. And I realized, after some conversations with some friends that were from like Mormon polygamy cults out in Utah, you know, my buddy, he was in, his grandfather had like, I don't know, like 20 wives or something like that. And he had like hundreds of grandchildren with all these different women. And I asked him about it. He was always turned off to religion because of his experience growing up in this family. And I asked him why. And he said the rates of alcoholism, suicide, all of these different things in his extended family were extremely high. A bunch of his cousins had committed suicide. They suffered from severe depression, all of these different things. And it was because of how big and difficult to manage that extended family was that came from their grandfather. And he looked at that and he just hated it, right? And that really hit home for me. And a few years later, you know, I was reading through the Old Testament of the Bible, and one of the things that you notice about all the patriarchs in the Old Testament, right? King David, King Solomon, many of the different patriarchs, they would have multiple children with multiple wives. And what would happen is their kids would end up warring with one another, and they would end up at odds with one another. And so you would have this pattern of broken families from men who had practiced polygamy. Now, if that's your choice for your life,
I want to be really clear. I'm not defining what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to have multiple wives with multiple women. I'm just keeping it very vague.
yes, understood. And the point that I'm making is I just wanted to share, I personally used to want what you've been describing, and I wanted to make a ton of money to be able to support it. But I came to the point in my life where I realized, you know, as a Christian, I'm a Christian. The thing that I can do to honor God personally is align myself with his prescription for marriage between one woman and one man. I understand that's not your choice, but I think part of the wisdom in embracing that and in embracing monogamy is you create a very healthy family long term, right? And like, I get the desire to want to be with multiple women. It's in our freaking DNA. But for me personally, that's something I am absolutely willing to sacrifice because it produces more fruit in a family long term.